Hello, I'm Jeremy Drobeck with Amerifirst Home Mortgage, and we're here to talk about what happens when the appraiser nails you with repairs. And so let's kind of get into a little bit of how this whole thing works, buying a house and appraisers and repairs, because a lot of people are scared of them, scared of homes that need a little bit of work. When you purchase a home, ultimately appraisers are going to go through the property. Now, it doesn't really matter what type of loan you're getting. Some loans they're a little more picky on, but at the end of the day, anything the appraiser feels is a health or safety issue, they can require to be repaired as part of the transaction. And so we're going to kind of go through this house, and I'm going to show you some things that it needs and some things that it has to have, and then we'll talk a little bit about the different loan programs and how we handle these repairs. So let's start here in the kitchen. Now, you kind of look around this kitchen, and I'm not going to lie, it's ugly. So let's talk a little bit about appraiser required repairs. So now these are only health and safety issues, and this is dirty, but the floor is in reasonably good shape, even though it doesn't quite match. It's got cabinets, it's got a sink. They're going to check to make sure there's no leaks under the sink. But all in all, this kitchen would probably pass. They might call for an inspection on the roof here, and I'm going to show you a couple other rooms where there's some obvious damage to the ceilings and stuff. From looking at the outside of the house, it has a fairly new roof on it, so it may have been old damage, but I would imagine the appraiser would at least require an inspection on that. And if we walk over here to one of the bedrooms, or maybe this would be deemed the living room, I'm not really sure, but the ceiling has obvious damage. Somebody did go through and replaced most of the windows. Again, this just goes back to that maybe an old roof leak or something, but the appraiser would want that inspected. This window, it's kind of hard to see because the blind's there, but has a little bit of peeling paint and some moisture issues. So I could see the appraiser potentially requiring that window either be replaced or just scraped and painted. I also noticed there's an outlet over here. That's not looking quite right, so they may hit us on that. All right, so we're here in the bathroom, and I love this bathroom because it's a perfect example of it's okay to be purple. So the appraiser's not looking for ugly, they're looking for health and safety issues. So a lot of people, I mean, I'll be the first one to say this kitchen or this bathroom's ugly, but there's no peeling paint, there's no mold on the walls, there's no moisture issues. You know, maybe the tub needs a bead of caulk. It's not pretty, but there's no health and safety issues that I see here. Of course, that's assuming there's no leaks. The toilet, another good example of, yeah, it's a blue toilet, but there's nothing wrong with a blue toilet as long as it flushes. So one thing I noticed that they might hit on in here is this cracked tile. May have to cut that out and swap that out. But from a health and safety standpoint, this bathroom's really not that bad. Let's talk about this bedroom a little. I would imagine that the appraiser would hit on the flooring in here. Somebody took the carpet out. Whether or not it was refinished, the buyer refinished the hardwood floors or slapped a piece of carpet down, they may write that up. I will say that flooring's a lot of times more of a cosmetic issue, and depending on the appraiser and the situation, doesn't always get hit on. So, and then yeah, let's talk a little bit about this vent pipe. There's some kind of water issue going on down here. It's wet. There's definitely some moisture issues up with this roof, so some kind of inspection is going to have to be done there. All right, so here's something in regards to floors. They don't always hit on carpet, but they would hit on something like this if they notice that. You can see that would be considered a safety issue in FHA's book. Here's a piece of trim that's hanging off the wall. Give it a little jiggle. You can see appraiser would more than likely want that reattached. The siding around the door, they may want that fixed to there. A lot of times you see peeling paint on the decks. I don't see any here. That's a good thing. Appraiser may write up peeling paint on the railing there, depending on how picky they're being and what kind of mood they're in. Here's another good example of missing siding. I'm sure that would get written up by an appraiser. And yet again up top there. Not a major expensive fix. A lot of times we're just fixing the stuff. We're not completely re-siding the house, so we'd have the contractor, the customer would have the contractor get a bid just to fix the missing siding, which really wouldn't be that expensive on something like this. This doesn't scare me. You know, they might write up some of this peeling paint here. The issue with peeling paint is that houses built before 77 could potentially have lead-based paint hazard. And so it doesn't have anything to do in this case with water intrusion or anything. I mean, it's concrete. It would just simply be a lead issue, possible lead issue. All right, so these are all different repair issues that you might run into. What do you do when you get nailed with these repairs? So that's really what we're here to talk about. And I'm going to run you through some options. We're going to put on the in some links to this video and on our website and things, some printouts that kind of outline in a flow chart of the different things that can happen once you actually get the required repairs. So, but let's run through it real quick. So the number one ideal thing is that the seller repairs the items. So if it's you know, any one of these things or all of these things, the first thing I would do as a buyer is go back to the seller of the property and ask them to fix it. A lot of sellers, if it's not a bank-owned property, they'll oblige, and they might moan and groan about it, but they'll fix the items. Bank-owned homes, banks really don't like to fix stuff. But it's not to say they won't, and I've seen a number of banks out there taking care of little items and even big items. More often than not, though, the bank's not going to want to do anything. So let's talk about what we can do. Most of the time what we'll do for buyers is we'll set up what we call a repair escrow. And here's how this repair escrow works. Number one, the buyer needs to get a bid from a licensed and insured contractor, and in some cases we're going to want two bids just to make sure that the first one's legitimate or in line with what's being charged out there in the market. But they get a bid from a licensed and insured contractor. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to review that bid and we're going to approve the repair escrow. At Amerifirst, we'll sign off on the repair escrow, and then we'll go to closing. So we'll actually close the loan in the condition that the house is in. And we close the loan, buyers gets the keys. If the buyer wants to move into the house at that point, they're more than welcome to. But once we close, the clock is ticking, and we have 2 weeks to get the repairs done. So that contractor will then come into the house and they'll fix whatever those required repairs were. They'll get them all taken care of, call us up, and then we'll send the appraiser back through the property to re-inspect the property. So the appraiser comes back through the property, they re-inspect it, they give it a thumbs up, and then we pay the contractor out for the repairs. Now the key is where does the money come from to pay for all these repairs? And some of that's going to depend on the loan program. So on most every loan program, conventional, FHA, VA, and rural development loans, the money can either come from the seller, which usually won't happen. It can come from the buyer, meaning the buyer could bring the money to the closing. So if the bid's for $1,000, the buyer shows up to the closing table with an extra $1,000. Or it could come from the loan if it is a rural development loan. So on rural development loans, if that home appraises for more, those repairs can actually be financed into the loan. And so say the purchase price is $55,000, house appraises for $60,000, and we have $2,000 worth of repairs, we would do a loan for $57,000, and we would actually fund those repairs out of the loan. So rural development's real cool in that way. But the other loan programs, you can still do a repair escrow. The money just has to come from the buyer or the seller. So that's kind of how a repair escrow works. And if it's just appraiser required repairs, that's the way to go. Now this particular house that we walked through here could go either way. There's some little stuff here that needs to be done. Definitely what concerns me more than anything would be the roof and how much that was going to cost. But in theory, we could do a repair escrow on this house without a problem. Do those couple little things, the outlets, the peeling paint, and get it safe, and then turn over the keys. Now it's still going to be an ugly house. There's no doubt about it. So there's another type of loan program that we also do at Amerifirst where we actually can allow the buyer to do whatever repairs they want. So they don't like the purple bathroom, or they want a prettier kitchen, or the flooring to match, or new paint on all the walls. There's a lot of things that you could do, and those are wants. So the FHA 203K renovation loan program, we do not only the appraiser required repairs, but also any repairs the buyer wants to do. Works the same basic way. Buyer gets a bid from a contractor. We'll review the bids, validate the contractor, close the loan. At closing, we give contractor half the money. Contractor does the work. We re-inspect the property, pay the contractor the rest of the money. Now the difference is they have 6 months to complete the repairs instead of 2 weeks. There's no dollar amount limit, so to say, or at least nothing major, and it's just really whatever they want to do. Now I will say an FHA renovation loan is a lot more costly than a loan with a repair escrow, meaning that the closing costs are going to be higher, because there's some additional things going on there, and the interest rate's going to be higher. And so that's really the difference. What a buyer has to ask themselves is, do I just want to get into the house and then I'll do the stuff on my own, or do I want to have it all done, before I move in and do everything I want to do? Something else that I'd like to mention is that they're on HUD Homes, so HUD owned properties. That's homes listed at the HUDhomestore.com. There's some additional repair options with FHA loans and the ability to finance those repairs in. So check out the flow chart that we created to help you figure out what the financing options are on FHA owned properties or HUD owned homes. So those are the different options. We're here to answer any questions that anybody has. And again, we're going to put links and attachments on our website. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. We're all over the web. We'd love to help you out. I'm Jeremy Drobeck, Amerifirst Home Mortgage.